All right, I'm with Jake Gagne here from Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamaha Racing. That is a mouthful. It is definitely, but it's all good. So, man, what have you been doing? I just saw you a picture of Cam Peterson jumping over your head on IG.
Yeah, I think just trying to stay busy, stay riding a little bit. I know obviously I'm in San Diego, not too far from you guys, and it's kind of pretty locked down, and all the tracks are closed, and there's not a lot going on. But yeah, I've been trying to ride my mountain bike a lot. We went out to the desert. My friend has a little property out in Nacatias, has like a little sand track and some turn tracks and stuff. And so we went. That was when that photo came out. We went around, did some trail riding, and
Is
messed
that
around a little.
is moto like your primary training, moto and mountain biking your primary training methods?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when obviously it's been a bummer for me lately with a lot of the pretty much all the moto tracks being closed, that like I haven't really been able to ride as much motocross as I'd like to normally, but I've been riding my mountain bike a lot more lately and enjoying that, and kind of riding the trails around my house a bunch more. And but yeah, motocross and mountain biking and doing my thing at home has been the big program. So it's a little bit of a bummer having all the tracks closed down, but I think hopefully stuff will work out here pretty soon and we can get back to the program.
Here in what Kahia is probably supposed to open May 1st or something like that, right around the turn of the month. A
Yeah,
little
I
bit
even
after.
heard they're taking you have to register online. They're only letting like 70 people, 75 people in or something. So you gotta, it's a process, like it's a little
To
different,
be honest,
Yeah.
man, it's a bummer. It is what it is. Hopefully, we get to go racing here in a little over a month or something. I guess the end of May is what they're talking about, and we'll see when the month changes over where everybody's at. But
Right.
whatever, it's what it is at this point, man. So, we'll touch briefly about your new gig, and you kind of wandered. I guess it wouldn't wander the abyss, but came back from Europe after riding for the 10K guys, and actually we'll go back. This is a better thing. What you came back from Europe, you got the honor to call up to replace Nicky after he passed away, and then that led to a couple more wild cards during the year. Then it led to a proper ride. So what was the big determining factor that you getting that ride and getting in to be able to go over to do the World Superbike Championship?
Yeah, like we said, obviously, I mean, with Nikki's passing, which was, mind blowing for a lot of us and tragic. I think they had to fill somebody in on the bike. It had been a couple races since somebody had been on Nikki's bike, and then the series going to Laguna Seca. So we were with the Road Race Factory Honda team at the time and talking with American Honda, and it kind of just worked itself out and said, and we got talking to the Tenkate guy, and Honda helped out. And yeah, before I knew it, it was a couple weeks before, and we had got to go that we're going to do a wild card. And obviously that was an amazing experience, really wild experience for me, going straight into World Superbike like that. And but I loved it. I think I really loved the experience. I learned a lot. I got along well with the team, and we gelled really well. And I think they were really happy with how it went for so much new things for me. And luckily they called me back for a couple more. I did Magny course later in the year, and then finished the year in Qatar. So that was 3 rounds on the wild card on Nikki's bike. And I guess, they liked me enough, and we had a good connection. We were making a lot of progress that they called me back the next year. And that's when I got to do that whole World Superbike year. And obviously that, we know a lot about that. I had a lot of goods, a lot of bads, a lot of big learning years for me. And, but it was a heck of a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. And, obviously I was getting to travel around the world racing World Superbikes. It's pretty much the dream, regardless of, always how the results are going or the bike you're on. I was having fun and learning a lot. So.
Yeah, best finish 9th at Laguna and another 9th at Qatar, right at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we got a couple of nights. Yeah, that was the best we ever got.
And Honda, though you got chucked in there and you're doing pretty well compared to your teammate anyway. But it's just like Honda's at the end of the cycle. So and they brought out a new Honda for 2020, and so it's always tough when everyone's developing their bike and you got a bike that got a little bit of a refresh in 2017, but didn't get much, from 2008 to 2017. It's a pretty long cycle. Now the new one looks pretty good, but step by step. So you came back to the U.S., rode for Scheibe last year and kept your name in it, in the mix, and did well enough that when a seat at the factory Yamaha team opened up, you're there. So this is your first factory ride. You've been around for a long time, won a lot of stuff, but first big go.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm still, obviously with all this stuff going on lately, I've been itching even more and more. Obviously I want to get racing and get the year going, and having this opportunity has been what I've been dreaming of, really. And yeah, like you said, I had a good year coming back off. I had a rough year actually starting off last year on the BMW, and I had some pretty big injury early in the year, but we started finding our flow and finding our rhythm there at the end. And obviously, I've had a lot of success on Yamahas in the past, and in the super sport class, Daytona Superbike class, and even in the super stock and superbike class with Road Race Factory. So I've always kept good relationships with Keith and Tom and all the guys at Yamaha. And luckily, I think when Garrett kind of got that call that he might have been going over there to Europe, to me. And so it was a little bit of there was a couple of weeks I was not sure what was going to happen, depending on what happened with Garrett. And luckily, Garrett got that opportunity, and he went over there, and I could slide right in and get it done.
Yeah, I think it was probably a good call. I think I'd called you. We were looking for our 600 guy, and I called you about that. You turned me down. I think your decision was correct, though. Stay in the Superbike class, and that led to a factory gig. So
I think good, I already maybe had a hint of something while I was talking to you, so I couldn't.
Yeah, it's dude, all good, man. You made the right decision. So we would love to have you, but it is what it is. I gotta not blow the line too much between team magazine stuff on these interviews. That 2014 DSB champion, and then we'll go back all the way to 2010, and you're Red Bull Rookies champ. And so how was, there's a lot of young guys that want to go to Europe now. They all want to go to Europe. And when we look and see you and Cam and JD, you guys were like the first big wave to go over there. I guess Chris Turner went over there too. Didn't have much success. I don't know if I can't remember if Turner was in the same class as you guys or a couple of years before, but you guys went over there. Yeah, it led to, I think Cam got a year in 125. You won the championship, and then went to Spain, right, to do the CEV stuff, and then and had to come back to the U.S. So how'd you go from winning the championship Red Bull Rookies, which is supposed to be like the go, right? That's the old goal, and to basically riding for a Spanish team, getting and then having to come back to the U.S.
Yeah, it was obviously it was an amazing gig, the whole program that Red Bull put on. I mean, I did 1 year road racing in 08 in the program here, and then did the 2 years in Europe. And but I knew right away, I knew obviously I was a little bit less experienced than a lot of those road racers over there, especially the European kids. And it definitely wasn't easy from the start. And, obviously even throughout my whole, especially 2010, my championship winning year, was kind of mostly between me and Danny Kent throughout that championship. And kind of from him coming, even before Rookies Cup, he came from the Red Bull Academy, which was a lot of the same guys and a lot of the same program that moved into the Rookies Cup. So he was kind of definitely the favorite to win it. And I think everybody who was over there with me knew that there was a favorite on both sides. And I think I was never the favorite to win the thing, And
you think that's because your nationality, or is just they wanted the UK guy or the Spanish guy or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, maybe that's some of it. The passport is some of it, and maybe just it is who it is, or who either way. But like I said, I think I traveled a lot over there with my dad, and Danny Walker went over there a lot, helping me, and it was a tough year, and there was a lot of times where we felt like there was a lot of weight against us, and there was a lot of weird stuff happening that almost you couldn't believe. But at the end of the day, all I did was focus on what I had to do. And I luckily had really good support. I had my dad there. And if I didn't have my dad, I had Danny Walker with me, because we always had to have a guy helping working on our bikes. So I had Danny on my bike, or I had my dad on my bike. So I knew I was in good hands, and no matter what, we got it done. And there was even times where our mechanic, I had a really good, we each brought our own personal mechanic, but then there was a couple mechanics per rider that were Spanish, and I had a really good mechanic named Jose, and even though he was part of the Spaniard crew, he was really, really on my side, and he stayed up all night working on bikes, doing whatever he had to do. So like I said, we knew we were against the flow, against the river, but I focused on what I had to do. I had a good support system. I just went out there and tried to win races no matter what was happening before that race, because we had a lot of weird weekends. But no matter what, I tried to get the job done on race day and not think about anything else but beating those kids.
Yeah, well, you did, and then you went to Spain for a couple rounds of Moto2. What happened there? And then actually, you know what? We'll just throw that one away because he came back. But then you ended up doing a couple wild cards in Moto2 in 2011. After that, right? It was
Yeah.
Indy and San Marino.
Yeah, Indy and San Marino. And yeah, like you said before, I did a couple rounds of Spanish Championship, and I think being an American kid over there and with some Spanish team at Spanish Championship, I think we all know how that story can go sometimes. And so I came back and I did a wild card at Indy with GP Tech, Jeff Maloney, and went pretty good. And we had fun, learned a lot. And then I went over and did with the same San Marino team, the one that JD actually rode during the Indy wild card. I went over there and rode that thing at San Marino.
The Bones team or something, right?
Yeah, it was that yellow bike airport.
Castile Airport.
Yeah, and that, those races, I especially that Italian one did not go good for me and the team. It was just it was a bit of a weird experience, but
Mazzano's gnarly though. It's a pretty rad track. You come off the back straightaway with that fast right, and
yeah, that one's cool. I mean, I remember doing on Rookies Cup, you're pinned through all that stuff, and I mean, I guess getting to ride on the World Superbike a couple of years ago, going through that into that fast back kink on a Superbike was a whole different story.
I got to ride. I've had the pleasure or the opportunity to ride both directions. So before they changed the track, updated it, it was just a bunch of fast lefts coming out of that.
That'd be cool.
The 180, and then you come and everything would open up. So it'd just be catching gears and pin the whole way, all the way till you put the brakes on after the back straight. So
awesome going that way.
Riding the other way too, it's still that's a man's corner.
Yeah, it's a handful.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. We'll move on for a couple of things. One question I always like to ask the guys is like, how'd you end up being number 32? Was that in the U.S. and I think when you raced 45 on the Honda?
Yeah. So when I first did a motocross race when I was like 5 years old, my first number ever was 45. I don't remember even why I picked it back then. I think like I just thought it was a cool number. I liked how it looked or whatever. I was 5 years old, so I don't know. And I ran that for like a year, and then I think I ran a couple different motocross numbers, but then a couple years in, I stuck with 132. And that was kind of because Billy Laninovich, who was a supercross motocross racer at the time, I was a big fan of him. He grew up in the same hometown as me and went to the same high school, and I got to ride with him a little bit. So that's kind of what got me there. So I ran 132 for a long time in a motocross career, and then when I went to Rookies Cup, I had to drop it to 2 digits, so I just went 32, and that's what I've ran ever since. Except for that year on World Superbike, I decided to I couldn't run 32 because Savadori, so I had to take it back with the 45 that I ran originally. But so I keep the 32 going from.
Now you're back 32.
Yeah.
It's funny how your number becomes your identity. It's Jake Gagne 32, and you have the number for so long. It's even when you stop racing, right? You see.
Yeah.
People are still into it. So besides that, we won't burn up much more of your time. So what are you looking for in 2020 now? You're on Stamboli's bike. It's a bit different than the factory bike was. And Stamboli's a pretty man, he was a pretty smart guy. I mean, he built his own MotoGP bike. So he understands some stuff. So what do you how's that bike compared to stuff you've ridden in the past? Maybe the Honda and the BMW, and then what are you looking for in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, right away for me getting back in the R1 was it's just a really, really comfortable bike that I've always gotten along well with, the chassis especially, and like I said, when I did the years on Super Stock and even on the Superbike and on the R1, I really, really loved it. And then leaving that a couple of years on the Honda, the year on the BMW, doing a couple different things, it just felt back at home on the R1. I just loved how the chassis works and feels and how the bike, the power delivery of the thing. And obviously there's being on the Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamaha this year, I'm gonna have even a lot more goodies than I've ever had. I know we got a good electronics package. We got Richard from Attack's always working on new things, chassis things and getting geometry stuff right, getting suspension stuff right. So we have all the tools in the toolbox. And so for me, obviously, again, you know, we've had a weird year so far, but we have gotten some testing in earlier in the year, and I've been really loving it, and really learning as I go and learning a lot about the bike and what I need and what's going to make us go faster. And so I think we're all just looking forward to getting the racing going, and I'm looking forward to getting on the bike and getting to racing with those guys. You know, I know we're going to have a strong Superbike class this year, and obviously I think, you know, Cam's the guy to beat. It's good to know that your teammates out there and he's the guy to beat on you know, the best motorcycle out there, so there's no excuses. And I just want to get out there and, you know, start learning, start battling with those guys, and start working into the races.
Yeah, cool, man. So appreciate you spending some time with me today, and you know, good luck this year, and hopefully we'll see you at the racetrack pretty soon,
Yeah.
and let's go see how you line up and everything goes, man, and good luck.
Right on, Chris. Thanks for talking to you.